Welcome to Intelligent Agents and Release Conditions, increasing student engagement from the very beginning and beyond. My hope in this session is to help you see how incredibly powerful these tools of intelligent agents are and have them engage your students, grab their attention, make them feel that you're there and you're present, yet at the same time making your life a lot easier. Let's dive in. I'll give you a few examples. It's common practice in the province of British Columbia and much of Canada that we do a territorial acknowledgement. I want to acknowledge I made this video on the territory of the Wasanage people, on whose traditional territory I live, learn, and teach. I want to thank you for the opportunity and them for the opportunity to bring this sharing to you. I'm going to begin with a brief explanation about what are intelligent agents and what can we use them for. Then I'm going to go over an example of how to set one up. I'm going to give you an example of a welcome letter, something that I use in my courses. Then I'm going to give you an example of something that could show progress in a course, whether it's you're sending it to the student or you are collecting that information yourself. And then finally, I'll do some kind of acknowledgement intelligent agent. Each of these is just one example, but with some quick exploration on your part, you're going to find lots of ways where you can use this to make your life easier in your courses and bring about a lot more engagement with your students. So let's start out with, what are intelligent agents? Well, these are like a customizable tool that we have built into D2L that allows us to look for some kind of criteria as a trigger to make something happen. Common things you can do with it are someone log in at a certain time, or have they handed something in? Did they get a certain grade? All these things are different ideas of triggers. And then a common release action might be send an email. Now that email could go to the student acknowledging that they've submitted something. It could be that it goes to you, the teacher, to let you know your student has reached a certain point. The first one I use is a welcome letter. In the context I teach in, we're an asynchronous, continuous entry, self-paced school. Students complete our courses online. There's always people coming into the course. So I have an intelligent agent I've built that notifies the student and copies me on the information to say welcome and gives them a bit of an introduction. It's not that I'm not capable of doing it myself. However, this automates the process. It sends them a personalized email and it starts the conversation off. That's the key thing, is that I'm starting the engagement almost as soon as they're in the course. Let's take a look at how one of these is built. You're looking at the homepage for my course in D2L. Where you find the link to the course administration will vary depending on how it's set up in your course. Mine is on the first page so that I can easily get to it. I click on the course admin button and it loads into all the different options that are available under my role in D2L. Under communication, you're going to see intelligent agents. I'm going to click on that and we're going to head over to start looking at new agents. The first thing we land on is our agent list. On that list, you can see the intelligent agents that already exist. From there, you have the ability to edit them. You can do a practice run, which actually runs the intelligent agent without completing the full task and doing whatever it is the action to be taken is, when they were last run, when the next run's going to be. You also have the ability to create new ones, new intelligent agents. That's where we're going to start off here right now. On a new intelligent agent, you're going to want to name it. Try to make it something meaningful to you, but fortunately, there's also a box there where you can put in a description. I strongly recommend putting that in the event that someone else has to cover your course or that you have to go back later on and look at it. Having that description can be very helpful. Something I put in there personally is I like to put in the created on date and a recommended date to look at it again. Sometimes these agents you will run for a long period of time, and maybe you want to double check that they're still relevant at a point down the road. So I put that information in there. You can put anything you want that's relevant to you. Then there's other things like setting up a schedule, setting up the criteria that triggers this intelligent agent, and setting up the action you want to happen. Finally, I also want to point out the agent is enabled. I don't click that until I'm ready. That is the part that goes, okay, we've built this. We're pretty sure it's good. I'm now turning it on. So we'll come back to that one a little bit later. Under scheduling, you have an option to set up how often you want to run these things. For example, one time, you could have it have no particular schedule. You could have it hourly, daily, weekly, monthly, annually. An example of a one-time run might be there's a guest speaker coming and you want to let everybody know in a class or a group, and it will send it out automatically to all people who meet the criteria. I often use daily for when students get added to my class. Remember, I'm in a continuous entry school, so I could have students coming in throughout the day. I tend to only run that one once a day. I like to set the time so that they don't all run at the same time. Each of these sends out an email, and I want to make sure they go not as a huge bulk all at once. I want them to go in staggered batches. I can set a start date and an end date to this. Some intelligent agents are only really going to be useful for a certain period of time. The guest speaker is a prime example. Once they're gone and the speakers happened, you don't need to send this intelligent agent again. Moving on, let's look at the criteria for triggering this intelligent agent. We start off with the roles in the class list. You might want this to go to everybody who's in there. Now, depending on your environment, that could be your graduate students or your EAs or other people that are part of the class, as well as all the students. Or you might just want the role of student to receive this intelligent agent if they trigger it. Most of mine involve just sending out to the students. From there, I have some choices. Some are really simple, like when did they last log in? When was their last course activity? Remember, there is a difference between the two. You can log in and not do anything, or you want to know when they were not only logged in to D2L, but specifically in your course and doing something. For my welcome email, which is where we were starting, I'm going to look at when are they enrolled in that organizational group. When I go to create my release condition, I first get to choose a condition type. There are many different factors you can look at. Some of them involve grades. Some of them involve, have you completed something or not completed something? Have you received a particular score above an amount, below an amount, between an amount? Did your role change in the class? For example, in schools, sometimes they have a pre-activation role and then an activated student role, and that switch could be a trigger. Maybe it's enrolling in the course itself could be the trigger. For the welcome email, I'm looking at when they're enrolled in that particular course. It sends out a welcome. Remember, I'm trying to get engagement. How we get that engagement is through the actions. Now, the actions can either happen the first time they're triggered or every single time they're triggered. The action I'm choosing to do here is to send them an email to welcome them to the course. How I do that, I'm going to use replacement strings. These are really powerful little tools that you can use. What a replacement string does is it goes and gets some other information and applies it so that every individual who triggers this will get their own unique information to it. So initiating user in my to field for the email means it will go get the email address for the student that triggered this intelligent agent. In the subject line, I have welcome to Chemistry 12, initiating user first name and initiating user last name. That will get their first name and last name, so it's more personalized. It will come across like, welcome to Chemistry 12, John Doe. I also can use that replacement string in the message so that if I craft my email carefully, it will sound more personalized. You'd be amazed at how many students will see this and think, okay, you have emailed them directly and respond to it. That gets them started. Getting them to talk to you, email you, respond to you, it gives you the opportunity to then be able to reach them better, to help them with their education. It also gives an opportunity to share with the student what the expectations are early on and what help is available to them. Incredibly powerful tools. Now that we've got our message all set, we have the option at the bottom of the intelligent agent to attach a file if necessary, and then we can save this. Don't forget to go further up in the intelligent agent and click on the checkbox for agent is enabled. That means the agent can run when the criteria or schedule is met. Go back to the main agent list and you can see in there when the agent's next supposed to run. Remember the little triangle at the end? You can also do a practice run to see how many people will trigger the agent when it does run. This is a good way to double check you've got conditions set correctly. I said I would give you some other examples of intelligent agents that we can use. Included here, I've got an example of a notification that goes out to the student when they've met certain criteria that unlocks a test for them. Now, some of your testing might be done as a group. Other ones might be individualized based on where they're at. Here's one where I've chosen they must have scored a certain amount on each of 3 tests beforehand, and then that would trigger the release of this next cumulative exam for them. This next example I have is directed to me. What it will do is it will send me a notification when the criteria is met that a student has been in the course a certain amount of time, but has not yet completed a couple things that need to be done. It gives me the opportunity to then get in touch with that student and check on their progress, see if they need help, but it's an opportunity for me to make that direct connection, to keep current on it. And I can set the time frame involved, I can set the criteria involved, and I have a number of these set up in my courses. There are many other intelligent agents that can be done. For example, setting up an intelligent agent to acknowledge achievement on a particular assessment or a post to the discussion boards, or if a student's struggling, that it might direct them to other resources that could help them be successful, or to attend tutorial. I also mentioned that I talk about release conditions. The same types of conditions that you can use in an intelligent agent, you're going to get ones very much like it that you can use to release quizzes or tests. When students have completed the work of that unit, it might unlock the test to make it available. A release condition might be set to unlock part of the course when the previous part has been successfully completed. It acts a bit like a gatekeeper to keep students from just rushing forward without checking their understanding and receiving feedback from the teacher. Another fun way we can use this is in the form of like a virtual escape room, where the students have challenges as they go through. When they complete a challenge, whether it's be presented in an assignment or in a quiz, it might then trigger an intelligent agent to give them a clue to something, or it might unlock a quiz where they can enter in a passcode that they've developed, and it gives a level of gamification to what you're doing. Overall, between release conditions in the course, in assignments, in content, and intelligent agents, you've got a powerful way to engage students, to encourage them to communicate with you, to help them grow and allow you to be more in touch with them. It's funny, an automated tool that increases engagement and allows you to communicate more readily with the student. Good luck out there with it. These are really powerful.